This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Hey, what is going on, guys? Jay Shy here with another video, and this video is going to be a special video that I'm making. A lot of hard work has been put into this video for you guys. I know you guys are big Shin Megami Tensei and Persona fans, so if you are a fan of these two series, which I'm assuming all of you are, that's why you come to my channel, this video is for you guys. Enjoy. So, as some of you guys already know, I am a teacher. I teach cartooning and I teach concept design. I teach at a school known as the AutoNation Nova Southeastern University for cartooning, and I teach at a museum of contemporary art. I teach kids, so I have a heavy work schedule. But a lot of people don't know this. I also am a professional comic book artist. I draw for numerous amount of companies. I even drew a couple of things for the big two companies, which is Marvel and DC. I've drawn things from up until Astonishing X-Men to Amazing Spider-Man. Well, no, Ultimate Spider-Man. And I've drawn for Batman, and you can range it all the way up to Justice League. I've drawn for almost every superhero out there you could think of. I had to draw them. But that's not what this video is about. It was just diving into a little bit of what I do. Now, onto the meaty and gritty stuff. A couple of years ago, I was on a website called DDS.net. DDS.net is basically a Shin Megami Tensei forum site, and I was on here talking with a couple of people and, you know, basically just making friends and stuff like that. And someone on one of the forums, which I cannot find now, said something very interesting that just, you know, made me think more. Someone asked the question, how come Atlas doesn't make a Shin Megami Tensei game based in the United States? I know why. You all know why. But me being the person that I am, I don't know, something sparked, something just popped into my brain, and I don't know, something just started to happen. So I started to make concept designs. The first concept designs that I did were for 3 characters. One of them was named Tarma. Tarma was a character who basically looks like a main hero. He wears a sash, but he's carrying around some type of book or something. I don't know. I didn't really solidify the idea. Then there was a character that I created called Carter. And Carter was basically, you know, he was supposed to be like this nerdy type character, but I don't know, his design came out okay. And then I came up with another character called Mag, which is our female protagonist. I came up with these 3 characters, and I started doing concept designs for these 3 characters. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just doing things. Next thing I knew is that for some reason I didn't like the concept designs. They were very not what I wanted. They didn't sit right with me. So I went ahead and I redrew them. Now, what you're seeing here is the new concept design for Tarma. He looks older, he looks like he's seen all kind of hell, and this is what I wanted. I wanted a more gritty, a more darker, a more mature theme. I figured out the reason why the initial concept designs came out the way they did is because this was right around the time where I was playing Persona 3. So a lot of them came out very soft, very subtle. They didn't come out gritty the way I wanted them, and now they started to. So as you can see, Tarma is in the same pose that he was in before, but this time I turned that little booklet that he was holding into a tablet. So I came with an idea that he summons demons from a tablet. Next is Carter. Carter has more scars on his face, his clothing is more ripped up, he looks more like he's determined to complete something. And then we have Mag. Mag looks very, I should say, chaotic, as you can see. Mag is the force one. She's very strong-willed. She's determined to become more powerful, and I wanted to design that in her character. Now, when I designed these characters, it was just a design. I mean, I wasn't really trying to do anything big. But after I did these designs, that's when I started to write the script for something called Inherit. The first thing that I did was I sketched up an idea for a cover, and this was the idea that I had. The cover was for something I called Shin Megami Tensei Inherit, and it showcased an arm coming out of the ground holding a cell phone, and in the cell phone it was going to say Demon Summoning Error, as you see here. So it was a homage to one of my favorite covers that I've always loved as a kid, from Resident Evil Outbreak File 2, with all the arms and hands. I always loved that cover. So I came up with this idea of, you know, someone looks like they're injured, they're buried under rubble, and they're just trying to summon their demons and they just can't. And I wanted the cover to feel that emotion of, you know, you feel like you just can't do it. So as I was writing the script, it took me about a day to write the script. I wrote the script for just not much. It was just basically 10 pages. And I released the 10 pages on DDS.net, as I'm going to show you guys now. This is Shin Megami Tensei Inherit. So Shin Megami Tensei Inherit, page 1 opens up with, you see two guys running down, you know, some alleyways, and when you get to the bottom of the panel, you can see that they're in a rush to get somewhere. Now, I will tell you this: the timeline of Shin Megami Tensei Inherit was going to be the idea of being a couple of years after the events of Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, and 3 months before Shin Megami Tensei 4. So I wasn't going to reveal this, but I guess I'll reveal this. Carter is the son of the sergeant in Shin Megami Tensei Strange Journey, the one who died. It is his son. So I was gonna shoehorn some plot devices, I guess you could kind of say, if I ever continue with the series or the short or whatever. So they're running down this hallway, and when you turn the page, you see that it's Mag. Her and her demon just beat the hell out of Amara. And Mara's on the floor and all of this stuff, and you can already kind of see that Mag is kind of like a lone wolf. She feels like she doesn't need help. She feels like she has to, she can do it all on her own. And then when you flip the page, you can kind of see that she has a reason for doing what she's doing. She basically wants to become more powerful. She feels like the more power she gets, she'll be stronger, she can survive longer. Tarma and Carter, are basically telling her, you don't have to do things alone. We're here to help. And basically, the trio, I would say. And then I started to go into some flashbacks of how, my version of how I think, it, went across the globe instead of just in Tokyo. Whatever happened in Tokyo spread. So all these demons are out, and it's telling the story of how everything happened. And I kind of went with the backstory of not Digital Devil Saga, Devil Survivor. And the whole idea is, with the whole cell phones, and everybody started getting this demon program on their comps and stuff like that. I started going with that version, and then it just kind of spread through the quarantine, and demons started running amok. That's basically the idea that I had, and it's just spread around the world. Next thing I knew is that I had a strong idea of where I wanted to go. And then I was like, you know what? Let me add some fan service. Let me see if I can come up with a story, and I'll add some fan service. So the characters come across. Their goal is to get to a tower. They finally get to a tower, and the tower just happens to be Tartarus. Tartarus is here. So okay, so it's a Shin Megami Tensei story, but it's fusing with Persona. All right, I kind of like this idea. So that means you might see some familiar characters. This was the pitch that I was making to people on TDS.net. It's 3 brand new characters, but they're intertwining with other characters from other games. And as they see Tartarus, they spot another character to their left, and it just happens to be an older, a more built version of Demi-Fiend. I wanted him to look older, but I also wanted him to look like he's been, I would say, working out. Not really working out, but it just looks like he's been through a lot of fights and he got stronger. And he's with Dodaiju. Dodaiju is kind of like his ace, not mentor, I would say, the demon who fills in the gaps for him, that tells him, hey, you should do this, or hey, you should do that. And I came up with a unique idea that he shoots Tarma with a kind of like a blast, like a beam, and then they go through the things of, I was trying to make it more cinematic in pages, and as you turn the page, you can see that now Tarma has the glyphs on his body, and you don't really know why Demi-Fiend did this, and he just kind of walks away, and then Tarma's yelling at him like, what did you do to me, what did you do to me? And Demi-Fiend just kind of doesn't say anything and just walks inside Tartarus, and Tarma is yelling at the end, what the hell did you do to me, come back here. And it's basically a cliffhanger ending where Tarma is forced to go inside after Demi-Fiend, and there's so many unanswered questions, like why did Demi-Fiend do this? Is Tarma gonna go inside? What is inside? A lot of us know what's inside Tartarus, but my idea that I had was to make, I would say Tartarus is kind of like a dimensional rift. It's a bunch of a lot of the floors are different dimensional rifts that are opening up, that are in different eras of the video game. So in different eras of each Persona or Shin Megami Tensei video game. So I was going to draw characters like Surf from Digital Devil Saga. He was going to show up. The character from Strange Journey was going to show up. Anything you could think of. Even I don't remember what they changed his name to, but the main character from Persona 3. That's the main reason why Tartarus is here. It was a bunch of things that I was gonna do, and I was gonna have a lot of fun doing it. But life got in the way, and I couldn't really write any more scripts, so I kind of pushed it to the side. A couple of months after, a lot of people read Shin Megami Tensei Inherit, and they really liked it, and they asked me a question. It was like, this is so awesome, could you do one for Persona? At first, I didn't want to. Most of the time, because people who like Persona are very particular about how the characters look, and I was very hesitant about drawing characters for Persona. But I decided to do it anyway. They was like, can you do one for Persona if it happened in the United States? And I was like, sure. So the first thing I did was I made a date. It was a real cool looking date. I already knew what colors I wanted to go with, since Persona always has a color theme. So I came up with the color theme of green, and it kind of had this it kind of had this weird like thing in the background, like a thing that checks the heartbeat. And I was like, I can kind of run off of this. So I started thinking of ideas, and I was sketching stuff. And the first thing I did was, I told the people, I was like, I will do this, but I won't make it in the United States. So I decided to make the Persona story in Canada. And the first thing I did was, I released this date, and then when the date came, I released the title of, I was basically building it up. I released the title of the Persona story I came up with, and it was called Persona Pulse. Why did I call it that? It's very strange. I called it Persona Pulse mainly because of the way that they summon personas. I can honestly say I really liked the idea of the whole gun to the head thing. I really liked it. It was really creative. It was really cool. I hated the Persona 4 one, the whole crushing of the card thing. I didn't like that idea. I just felt like it was such a very huge departure from the whole, you know, I don't know. I just didn't like the idea. It was a very big departure, but Persona 4 was a departure. I mean, it was more lighthearted. It still had its dark moments, but it wasn't as light. It wasn't as dark. So I was thinking of, I wanted to go back to that Persona 3 gun to the head montage thing. So I came up with this idea that they have these equipment called athames, where they're basically like this, it looks like a lightsaber handle with a trigger. And basically, you pull the trigger and it pulls out this blade energy, and you kind of it kind of looks like you're committing suicide to yourself, where you kind of stab yourself in the gut with your athame and release this energy that when you pull the athame out, it releases the persona out of your body. So I came up with that, and I was coming up with different ideas how everybody, all the characters stab themselves, you know, differently. Not everybody stabbed themselves in the gut. Like, everybody was different. And the reason why I came up with this is because a lot of the characters that I made for Persona Pulse all were teenagers that felt like they were outsiders. A lot of them were, you know, suicidal. Some of them were going through a lot of family issues and stuff like that. So after I released the title, I think a week later, I released the concept designs for the characters. The first concept design that I had was for a character called Caleb. Caleb was your typical Persona, you know, main character look, and you know, he has the nice cool jacket, and he just looks like he's ready for action. When I designed him, I knew that I wanted him to have a cool looking coat like Yuna Arkami had, or you know, I think all Persona main characters have cool coats. I don't know, I just figured he should have a cool coat. Next was Sasha. Sasha was basically your rich looking girl, your fancy looking girl, you know. She was basically headstrong, I would say, but she just looked interesting. Next was the token black guy, Vincent. Vincent is basically a football player. I just wanted him to look very cool, calm, collected type of guy. The next one is Elizabeth. Elizabeth is a weeaboo. She is an anime fiend. She loves anime. You can see it in her outfit. You know, the kind of Pikachu ears, but I changed it to a different color. She just looks really cool. Lucas is a character I based off of one of my students. He's very... how do I explain this? people have the misconception of what he is. I would put it like that. You're not really sure, but he knows what he is, and everybody else knows what he is, but he doesn't know how to tell his parents, you know, what he is. And I think you can kind of go where I think you can kind of understand where I'm going with this. As you can see, the character is gay. He is gay. But the story that I have is he doesn't know how to tell his parents that he's gay. So that's one of his things that he has to deal with. Other characters have their own things that they have to deal with as well, but I never finalized it. Next and final is Kenji. Kenji is supposed to be an exchange student from Japan. As you can see, he is an otaku. He loves anime. You can see it in his outfit. Now, one of the things that I told people that they were kind of shocked about, they was like, oh, I really like Caleb, he's a cool looking main character. The shocker that I gave them was, Caleb isn't the main character of the story. The main character of the story is actually Kenji. Kenji is the main character. He is the main character mainly because the plot that I came up with for Persona Pulse was, whatever happened in Persona, he used to go to the same school as those kids, and when he transferred, whatever was left behind, he took with him to Canada. So everybody is going through this kind of thing, and I was still working out the kinks to the story. I wasn't really sure where I wanted it to go, but I knew where I wanted some things to go. Here are some sketches that I never finalized of some of the personas. This buff Broly guy is basically Vincent's persona. It was supposed to be modeled after his football thing. Vincent was that character who basically is, his father is this guy who really wants him to play football. He doesn't want to play football. He really wants to do his own thing. So he's very depressed about that. You know, he feels like he has to make his father happy. You know, so I was gonna come up with the idea of them having two separate personas. Each character, you know, this is the persona they have at first, and then it changes into something later. But I never really got that far. The name of his persona is Yamano Todoroki. It means mountain roar. The next persona that I had was a persona called Animus. It's a weird kind of bat bug lightning bolt thing. I don't know. I was just playing around with it. This is supposed to be Caleb's persona. Caleb is dealing with the death of his father. His father was a scientist, and he saw his dad get killed by a shadow. So his father is the one who invented the Athames. So I was kind of playing around with some stuff. I don't really know where I was going with that. The next persona that you see here is Retina Ibiri. Iribi, I'm sorry. It means caged beauty. This was Sasha's persona. I came up with this persona because Sasha is a character who is very beautiful, who's very sexy and sassy. The problem is that's all everybody sees her for, is her sexiness, is her sassiness. But she is very, very intelligent. She is somewhat of a nerd, but no one sees that. Everybody just sees the beauty, and no one wants her to get out of that mode of her beauty and sexiness. They just want her to be that, and that's it. The next persona I never came up with a name for, but it looks very strange. It has a face on its chest. I never finalized it. But it's supposed to be Lucas's persona, and his persona is very unique only because it has no arms, it has no legs. It just kind of hovers everywhere, kind of like how he does. He feels like he doesn't have control over anything. But I also gave him two heads, so he has a face in his chest and he has a head on the top of the body of his persona. And this is because, he feels like he lives a double life. His friends know about what he is, but then he has to play face in front of his family. So I really wanted to accentuate, what his persona looks like. So, yeah, I never finished this project, but maybe one day I might go back and do some things to it, but I'm not too sure about that yet. So that is some SMT / Persona projects that I actually did, that I actually just wanted to share with you guys, you know, and just fill you guys in on some of the things that I did. I know this is probably a pretty long video, but this is something special for you guys that I wanted to do, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And I don't know, let me know in the comments, you know, let me know some things. I'm open to ideas. I'm open to if anybody wants to if anybody is like, hey, if you'll do this, we'll help, kind of thing, and maybe I can do that. I don't know, my schedule is like ridiculous right now, but hopefully sometime in the future I can probably finish this, but not right now. But I just wanted to share it with you guys. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.